them live. Making them live. Not live yet.
You guys hear me? Yes.
Woo.
Hey, how y'all doing? Please give a warm welcome to the cast, crew, and all the people who realize the show, the writers, the directors, and the producer, Sean, Aaron, and Dwayne. Did y'all have a good time, man? I wish I could have been here and watching with y'all, man. I saw it already. There, so I'm kind of sick, so I wasn't able to sit through and watch it with y'all, but I like watch this movie and the score reminds me of like Kendrick in a certain way, but like I guess I should say that out loud because you know we don't want to get no copyright issues. But I mean it's like very, very, very LA, and I think it's very, very contemporary. So I wanted to start off, Eric, with just asking because I met you when you were living in Brooklyn, and then you moved to Pittsburgh, and then you moved here. How does Aaron Katz, Pittsburgh, Brooklyn to Eagle Rock end up making Gemini?
Yeah, I guess I just have a lot of curiosity about the places that I live. I mean, with the exception of Pittsburgh, I've made movies about all of the places where I've lived, and
no shade to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I didn't make a single movie the whole time I lived there, which is part of the reason why I moved to Los Angeles, and I wasn't sure about living here. I didn't know what I would think of it because I grew up in Portland, Oregon, and California seemed, though it was the next state over, like a strange and distant fantasy land. And I didn't visit Los Angeles until much later in life, and when I moved here, I'd only been here a few times. But I grew over the course of 2.5 years to love the city, and I really wanted to make a movie about the city and to explore it with a sense of curiosity, with a sense that I'm a transplant to the city, but to explore it like with my point of view.
Yeah, I wanted to open there because all your films previously are really rooted in the place, even the one that takes place in fucking Iceland, of all places. It's really rooted in the place, and so I think I moved here in 2003, lived here for a couple of years, left, and moved back in 2014. I don't think I have the courage to make a movie about LA right now. I know the city well enough, and so just talk to me about how did you decide that this was going to be the entry point of the story of Gemini, the sort of rooted in celebrity and fame, as opposed to going somewhere and making a movie about gangs in East LA or some shit.
Right. Yeah. Well, there were a few threads that came together. One is just living here. The second one was watching a lot of thrillers, and especially thrillers shot in Los Angeles, which I think are some of the best movies about the city. I'm thinking of American Gigolo, I'm thinking of Body Double, Bad Influence, and so on. And then the other thing is that I encountered a couple times a relationship between an assistant and the person that they were, the celebrity that they were working for, and I got very curious about this relationship, and I thought it could be an interesting starting place for a thriller because the lines between personal and professional are so porous, and like the job is never really over. And thrillers have so much to do with identity, and I think this relationship and the sort of transfer of one person's identity into another person is a very interesting relationship.
Cool, and on that note, the people who transfer their identities into other people's identities, Lola and Zoe, just tell me about how you guys came to the project and what it was like to play, I don't know, I guess to riff on some version that's a big aspect of your actual personal lives.
Well, I don't have an assistant, so I don't know what it's really like, but I mean, if anybody wants the job, you can see me after the Q&A.
Be careful.
No, I can't hire anyone right now. But I think the project, I got a call from my agent who said that this man had written a movie for me, and that, I don't know if that's true, I'm still waiting to find out, but that's such a rare thing as an actor. You know, you're very lucky to even get a job a lot of the time. So my curiosity was piqued, and I met with Aaron, and I immediately adored him and really liked what he had to say. And I think I was also interested to see this genre of noir revived, and instead of having these like hammy lines, which I think the genre is known for, have it be like this really real dialogue where women are talking about watching screen.
My dear?
Well, Lola got me involved in this. She sent me so many text messages, and I was ignoring them, but eventually was like, "Who phone it is?" But she's a dear friend of mine, and she said she was involved in this thing and she wanted me to do it with her, and she asked if she could send me the script, and I was already very excited because Lola's one of my favorite people and I wanted to work with her. And then I read the script and it was good, which is just such a nice feeling. And yeah, just the tone of the film was something that was so intriguing to me because I love thrillers, I love noir films, and the idea of kind of bringing that into our new time was really interesting. It reminded me of, like, you know, Hitchcock films and all. Who directed that film, Brick? Remember that film, Brick?
Yeah, that's Ryan Johnson.
Yeah, okay. Loved that film, and when I was like 15, I watched that film a lot, so it kind of had that tone to it as well. So it was just hitting on things that I, you know, wanted to be involved in, and also things that I wanted to watch myself.
Yeah, I wanted to go back to something Lola said about the trappings of the genre and this hammy dialogue, because John Joe's a smooth motherfucker, because you might walk on the street and you're doing this almost like Dashiell Hammett kind of thing, but it feels of the period, of the genre, but it also feels, again, very contemporary. So tell me about embodying this almost like this archetype character, but trying to make it feel actually like rooted and grounded and new, and remaining a smooth motherfucker at the same time.
Thank you very much. You know, I think the key with him, one was just saying what Aaron wrote. I think we were letter perfect in the scenes that I was in, but I think the trick was to fish for information whilst sort of giving as few glimpses into his inner life as possible, which is a fun thing to play. I mean, I don't know whether anything that he says about himself is true, whether he has indeed experienced the trauma that he can relate to Jill with, or whether he's interested in, whether he's a fan of Heather's or not, or any of that stuff, whether he feigns or is actually interested in Jill's past. I don't know. I think he plays with that, and he's trying to give the illusion of authenticity, or is showing bits of himself in order to gather information, and that's just it's just an interesting scene situation.
Yeah, and I gotta say, I didn't trust you, man. It is strange for me, the characters you play, I always trust them, but I was like, I don't like this dude, man. Because I'm rooting for them, and then you come on the screen, I'm like, oh, don't say anything. Call your lawyer, right? Call your lawyer, right? Talk to John Joe.
It's kind of an LA detective too. I was, you know, upon reflection, I was thinking about O.J. Made in America and the kind of Los Angeles policeman, and it's a singular position, you know, being in a town where celebrity rules, and the police having to execute their jobs, but also sort of keep the order here, which is and keep the hierarchy intact. And I just remember Van Hatter on the telephone with OJ and the Bronco saying, "OJ, we love you," which is just odd for a policeman to say to a running fugitive, but that is Los Angeles policeman.
Not a fugitive, it's OJ. Color is very important to this film. I know your color correction was done by Alex Bigelow, who did Lady Bird, also did Moonlight, the same colorist. And it's a really particular choice. We don't say this about LA, but just like New York, how Times Square used to be this very rough, seedy place. I think LA used to have a very, very prominent seedy underbelly as well. It was very visible. You kind of lean into that in this film. Like, you don't see, everywhere I moved to, you can get a good cup of coffee. There's no intelligentsia, there's no blue bottle, none of that shit. You know, it's that other LA. Talk to me about choosing those locations and your approach to color correction in the film.
Yeah, I mean, it was really important to us to choose locations that felt compelling, and there's a million places you could shoot in this city, but we looked at so many places that just felt like the geography of them didn't speak to us, and it's not necessarily that it didn't fulfill what's in the script, it just felt like it wasn't going to be a dynamic place to shoot, and it maybe didn't feel like a place that had a sort of a lived-in quality that I feel like is really important to the kind of Los Angeles that we wanted to show. And then in terms of color, I mean, Alex worked with us even before we started shooting, and we were like figuring out how to shoot it so that we could end up with this. I mean, the real starting place was a sense that we felt like driving around at night. There was this kind of bluish tint from the moon, and then the more orange side of the city lights, and that combination is what I feel when I drive around at night in Los Angeles, and we talked about how to achieve that. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting thinking of all the ways that the city has been shot and all the ways you could choose to shoot this city, and we recently have been showing some, doing some series of films like double features with Gemini, one of which was The Long Goodbye, which is such an iconic Los Angeles movie, and it is very gritty, but it couldn't be more different looking from Gemini. It's so specifically rooted in the 70s, and it has this kind of orange and taupe color palette, and it's amazing that after hundreds and thousands of movies shot here, that there are ways, there's new ways to shoot the city.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say there's a lot of really gorgeous images in the film. The opening image of the palm trees being one of them, but when Lola's on the motorcycle, is it a motorcycle?
That was me riding a motorcycle the entire time. Everyone knows kind of double.
A round of applause for that shit.
She wasn't me, no.
Oh shit.
I wrote it for about 1 minute.
Okay, well, it's cold, man. It's not as good as it used to be. But anyway, well, then to you, Aaron, the person who's filming that shit, she's like in mid-city, and it's like, I've never seen that part of town look as alluring as it does. Like, it's like gorgeous, gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean, that's a particular stretch of Wilshire that was written into the script because I'm fascinated with it. Every time I drive by that stretch, it's like this.
You don't stop, you just drive through it, right?
Yeah, I've literally never stopped there, including when we shot. I've never been at a standstill in that part of, well, at 5 o'clock I've been at a standstill in my car. But I've never been on foot there, but it's like a man-made canyon. It's like 20 blocks with these, huge apartment towers on either side. And I was really fascinated by the idea, maybe almost obsessed with the idea of this shot that we would get, where we'd do it in the middle of the night, where there was no one there, this street that's made for thousands and thousands of cars with no one, and also you're surrounded by thousands and thousands of people, but they're all asleep. I don't know what it was about that, but I knew we had to shoot there, and that's one of the things that made it from script to the movie.
Yeah, and it's one of those very quintessential LA things. And you also go, where the fuck are all the other cars? Because it's shocking to see the road that into. I want to ask a somewhat icky, complicated question to the two of you guys.
Oh God.
No, it's going to be simpler than that. But there's the scene in the film that always sticks out to me, where I get really pulled in, is when you're at the diner and the director, who was awesome. That guy is fucking fantastic. What's his name? The dude who plays
Nelson Franklin.
He's so good. He's so good in this movie. But after he gets up and leaves, and your double, your twin, shows up, I mean, I'm not y'all. I mean, people see y'all all the damn time. I've had that happen to me, and it's a really awkward encounter. And the way you both play it, it's so, the awkwardness is there, the tension, the nervousness, but also the grace with which you handle it. So just tell me about, like, how much of that did you need to rehearse, and how much of that you like, no, Aaron, I got this shit. Just talk to me about it in that set.
No, we didn't really have to rehearse very much for that. I mean, I think it's always flattering and uncomfortable, especially when you're hanging out, eating food in your own space. You never get used to it. Maybe some people do. I'm still not used to it. So it was a really interesting thing to be able to play, because it's something that I relate to in my own life, and it's like, fame is such an uncomfortable thing to talk about, you know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to kind of ignore it in a lot of ways, because it's weird to say I'm famous, you know what I mean? And you kind of want to just, remain normal. So I was really actually quite thankful for an opportunity to explore it in an artistic way, and with the grace and also the awkward aspect of it all.
Also, I think that there's power in fame, but there's also power in anonymity, and this movie is really interested in how both of those powers function. And that was one of the things that was really also exciting to me about making this film.
Yeah, and I don't get to write about films as much as I used to, or as much as I would like to, but I've been reading a lot of shit about this film, and what I love about that scene is it's housed by these other moments, which is, you just had to make a very difficult decision. You had to deliver very difficult news. You're also in the middle of a something and there's a quasi something. All this shit is going on. It's a person who knows none of that. It's just invading your space, and yet you have to behave in this way that is almost like an external kind of shell. And then the rest of the movie goes on, and I'm carrying all that shit with me, and I'm seeing the critical discourse around the film, and that stuff isn't even carried with it, you know, as much as I would like to see it carried with it. But anyway.
Go ahead.
See, now everybody's talking about this.
No, I was just gonna fanboy out and said, like, for me, the best moment in that scene is when Zoe does her picture face. She does Blue Steel, and it's,
I love
so
that you
amazing.
caught that, because I fully did like the picture face that you do. You don't want to take a picture, but you're going to do it anyway.
I think we'll open it up to a couple questions, but I have one more for Aaron Katz. How much Remy Harlan is in this film, or how much not? Remy Harlan is Aaron Katz's favorite director. I'm going to out him right now. And I'm just wondering how much Remy Harlan is in this movie. Some of those things are lies, by the way.
You know, there's a little bit of The Long Kiss Goodnight. I'll leave it at that. I mean, I do. Barry's exaggerating, but I do really, really love Die Hard 2 and Cliffhanger and Long Kiss Goodnight and Mindhunters, guys.
Questions from the audience. You in the middle, go ahead.